Om Shanti. English Avyakt versions. 2nd February 1972. 2nd February 1972. Are all of you stabilized in the avyakt stage? You know that it is only whilst being stable in the avyakt stage that you can celebrate an avyakt meeting. Ask yourself to what extent you have become experienced in being stable in the avyakt stage. Every thought and task of those who remain stable in the avyakt stage is alokik. Whilst living in the corporeal world and engaged in physical work, those with such an avyakt stage remain as detached as a lotus flower, and they are constantly loved by the one Father. Those who constantly stay in such an alokik and avyakt stage are called Allah Log, people who belong to God. There are many other titles too. Such souls are called those with loving intellects. You have the experience of both those with loving intellects and those with diverged intellects. This is why you write the main slogan. At the time of destruction, the Pandavas have had loving intellects and gained victory, whereas those who had diverged intellects were led to destruction. Do you apply this slogan to yourselves throughout the whole day as to how long you have a loving intellect? That is, for how long are you victorious and for how long are you defeated because of having a diverged intellect? At the time when you are defeated by Maya, do you have a loving intellect? To have a loving intellect means to be victorious. To have a loving intellect means to be victorious, since you tell others not to be those with diverged intellects at the time of destruction, but to develop loving intellects. Do you also check yourself as to whether you have a loving intellect or a diverged intellect? Those with a loving intellect cannot create even one thought that is against Srimad. If you have thoughts, words, or deeds that are against Srimad, would that be called having a loving intellect? To have a loving intellect means that the love of your intellect should be constantly linked to the one beloved. When there is constant love for the one, your love cannot be linked to any person or thing. Because to having a loving intellect means to constantly experience Bap Dada, to be personally in front of you. When the Father is constantly personally in front of you, you can never turn around. When the Father is constantly personally in front of you, you can never turn away from the Father. To turn away means to not have the Father personally in front of you. Because those with loving intellects are constantly and personally in front of the Father, the sound that constantly emerges from their lips and hearts is, I eat with you, I sit with you, I talk to you alone, I listen to you alone, I have all relationships with you alone, and I attain all attainments from you alone. Even if they don't say anything, their eyes and faces speak. Have you become those with such loving intellects at the time of destruction? That is, have you become those with a constant stage in the love of one? When you personally come to the fields of when you personally come to the field of actions in the corporeal world, in the corporeal form, you experience having a loving intellect in the way Baba just spoke about, do you not? You relate your experience, do you not? In the same way, if you practice being constantly personally in front of you, Bab Dada, through the yoga of your intellect, then can you not have a constantly loving intellect? When you look at the sun, the rays of the sun come in front of you. In the same way, if you constantly stay in front of the Father, the Son of Knowledge, would you not be able to experience within yourself the rays of all the virtues of the Son of Knowledge? Even against your conscious wish, even against your conscious wish, you would experience the rays of the Son of Knowledge being absorbed by yourself. But this is only when you are personally in front of the Father. What will be visible on the faces of those who stay in front of Baba, even in the corporeal form? You can easily experience being in front of Baba in the corporeal form. It is a very old world. It is a very old word. You are revising your course again, and so the old words are also being revised. This is also a drill for the intellect. Your intellect will develop the power to churn. Acha. Firstly, on their faces, there is the sparkle of being introverted. Secondly, there are all the types of intoxication of the stage of the self respect, of the confidence stage, and of the future. Do you understand? For instance, one is the sparkle, and the other is the intoxication, which is invisible. So, not only should intoxication be visible, but there should also be a sparkle visible. And as well as being cheerful, there should also be introversion. Such souls are called those with loving intellects who are constantly in front of the Father. If you constantly have the awareness that your body can be finished at any moment, then by being aware of the final moments, you automatically develop a loving intellect. When the time of destruction comes, even those who are ignorant definitely do make effort to remember the Father. However, without an interaction, their love cannot be linked. If we constantly have the awareness that these are the final moments, not the final words, but the final moments, then by remembering this, you will not remember anyone else. So, do you have such a loving intellect? You are not going against Srimad, are you? If you are having wasteful or sinful thoughts that are against Srimad, then would you be called one with a loving intellect? Those who constantly having such loving intellects can become victorious devils. In order to become a victorious devil, make your intellect loving. Otherwise, instead of claiming a high status, you will claim a low status. So, do all of you consider yourselves to be victorious devils? You should not have any type of love for anyone. Otherwise, you will come in the list of those who have diverged intellects. At exhibitions, you take people to the picture of the conference stage and ask them where they are and who they are. Why do you take them to this picture and ask them this? Because the conference age is the age of the highest position. In this way, stabilize yourself in an elevated stage and then ask yourself whether your intellect is constantly loving or not. Or do you sometimes come in the list of those with loving intellects and at other times you are crossed off that list? If even now you do not have a constantly loving intellect, that is, if you have love for someone or other in a subtle or gross way, then according to the present time, now that now that study has finished and revision is taking place, you can understand how close the time for the exam is. Nowadays, even the government gives tests every now and then and accumulates their marks towards the final exam results. In the same way, whatever actions you perform at the present time, think that you are taking a practical paper and that the result of that paper will be accumulated on the results of the final paper. In a little while, you will also witness anyone who performs the slightest sinful action experiencing punishment in a subtle way, just as those with loving intellects have the practical experience of celebrating a meeting with the Father. Because of staying in remembrance of the Father and his activities and his tasks, in the same way, those with diverged intellects will experience subtle punishment because of being diverted. This is why Bab Dada is telling you in advance that the experience of punishment is very severe. Everyone will be able to tell from that soul's face that he is experiencing punishment. No matter how much such souls try to hide themselves, they will not be able to hide. That punishment of 1 second gives the experience of the sorrow of many births. Just as when you personally come in front of Baba for a meeting of even 1 second, and that 1 second meeting quenches the thirst of so many births, in the same way, those who are diverted from the Father will have such an experience. Then they will find it very difficult to stabilize themselves in their stage and to escape that punishment. This is why you are being given a warning in advance that it is now time for the exams. Do not complain later that you did not know about the deep philosophy of such actions. This is why, in order to be free from subtle punishment, constantly remain cautious. Do not make any mistakes. If you make the slightest mistake, then, as is said, you experience 100-fold benefit for one, and you also receive 100-fold punishment for one. So you will very soon experience these words in a practical way. This is why you must remain constantly in front of the Father, and you must constantly have a loving intellect. Acha. To the lucky stars who constantly remain personally in front of Baba, Bab Dada says Namaste. Do all of you consider themselves to be stars of success? What would be the special sign of a star of success? They would never have arrogance of their own success. They would not speak about their success. They would not sing their own praise, but to the extent that they are successful, so they will be humble hearted, constructive, and gentle in nature. Others will sing their praise, but they will constantly sing the Father's praise. Those who conduct themselves with humility easily attain success. To be humble is to have self respect, and it is the easy way to receive everyone's respect. To be humble is not to bow down, but to make everyone bow down to your speciality and love. Humility is the sign of greatness. To the extent that you are humble, you will automatically be great in everyone's heart. Without humility, you cannot become a master bestower of happiness for everyone. Humility easily makes you egoless. The seed of humility automatically enables you to attain the fruit of greatness. Humility is the easy way to receive blessings from everyone's heart. Humility enables you to easily have a place in everyone's mind. Humility automatically makes you praiseworthy. The special sign of being egoless is humility. It is said that a tree bows down to the extent that it is full, and it is this humility that is doing service. The bowing down of the tree is service, and if it is not bowing down, then it is not serving. So, on the one hand, there is greatness, and on the other hand, there is humility. And those who remain humble receive everyone's respect. If you become humble, others will give you respect. Those who remain arrogant do not receive respect from anyone, and people run away from them. Those who are humble always give happiness to everyone. This is the sign of whether someone is great and humble. Wherever they go and whatever they do, they will give happiness to everyone. To the same extent that they have self respect, they are also humble. They do not have ego of their self respect. They do not feel that they have become great and that others are small, nor will they have feelings of dislike. No matter what souls are like, humble souls will look at them with a vision of mercy and not with a vision of arrogance, neither any arrogance nor any insult. Humility easily enables you to carry out the work of construction. Unless you are humble, you cannot carry out the task of renewal. Even if people of the world or those in connection and relationship with the Brahmin family think or believe that you have been defeated, that is not defeat but is victory. Sometimes those who are watching or performing actions can have a misunderstanding. By having a misunderstanding with someone who is humble hearted and humble and who always says Haji, yes indeed, it is possible that people think they are defeated, but although others see it as defeat, in reality it is victory. However, at the time, a soul with humility should have faith and not change that into doubt because of what others say or because of the atmosphere. So humility is the means of success and service. By being humble, you will remain light in service. If you are not humble and you desire respect, there will then be a burden. Those who have a burden keep coming to a standstill. They cannot go fast. So, therefore, the sign of whether they are humble or not in their lightness. So, therefore, the sign of whether they are humble or not is their lightness. If you experience any burden, then understand that you are not humble. Those who are humble do not have any bossiness, they have a spirituality. The Father comes with humility, so follow the Father in this. If there is the slightest bossiness in service, then that service finishes. Father Brahma made himself so low, he served with such humility that he was ready to massage the children's feet. The children are ahead of me. Children can give better lecture than I can. He never say I am first, but the children are ahead. The children are first. The children are greater. To make the self low in this way is not really bringing yourself down, but rather is raising yourself higher. This is known as being a true number one server. Cha Om Shanti.